I'll call the meeting to order of State Government, Finance, Policy, Elections, Transportation, Pensions Conference Committee. Today being Saturday, May 21st, 2022. Welcome, everybody. Glad to see you here today. With that, though, we'll get right into our business, and it is our intention to do some work. And then we are going to recess to the call of the chair. There's lots of conversations going on today, and I will let members of the committee respond to that. And with that, I will have Ms. Wilson take the roll.
Senator Kiffmeyer.
Present.
Representative Nelson.
Present.
Senator Newman.
Present.
Representative Hornstein.
Present.
Senator Howe.
Present.
Representative Murphy.
Murphy present.
Senator Jasinski.
Here.
Representative Cagle.
Here.
Senator Dibble.
Here.
Representative Nash.
Nash present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wilson. I think we have all of our conference committee members. Appreciate that very much. I know busy times, but glad to have that. With that, Senator Newman, we're going to start with transportation areas. Can I give the gavel to you, and you can go ahead and do that with Representative Hornstein.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this point, on the transportation side of it, we have got an agreement regarding a number of policy items that I would at this time ask Ms. Stengel if she would please walk through them.
Madam Chair, we are looking at a page in the packet. In the upper left-hand corner, it says HF 4293 Conference Committee Transportation Policy Articles, Provisions for Discussion 52122. So that's what we'll be working from. On line 2, there is a, what I guess you could call a similar section, and this has to do with motor vehicle dealers and their licenses, and it requires the Department of Public Safety to deny an application for a motor vehicle license if the place of business requirements aren't met or there's some sort of misrepresentation in the application. And then there are several house-only provisions that Mr. Burris can walk through. I believe he is online.
Madam Chair and members, the first of the House provisions is a change to the Municipal State Aid Screening Board, which involves some data submission modifications, as well as adding to who serves on that board. The second, line 5 on the document, expands the types of documents that can be provided in application for a Real ID compliance license or identification card to include internet utility bills. And then line 6 on the document makes a modification in ignition interlock regarding non-cancelable insurance requirements in some situations. And then line 7 modifies pipeline safety penalties. And this is a reference to federal law. And with this is an amendment, the SCH 4293 A71 amendment that would clarify that the reference is to the federal regulations as they stand currently. And those are the House-only provisions, Madam Chair.
And then, Madam Chair, on the back side of the sheet or the second page, depending on how you have it printed, there are 3 Senate-only provisions. On line 9, there's a data security account change, and this will statutorily appropriate money in that account to the legislative auditor, who will use it to oversee data stored and transmitted by state systems. On line 10, there's a change for the veteran designation on a driver's license, which will allow additional types of veterans to obtain that designation. On line 11, there's the pavement life cycle cost analysis, which amends the requirements MnDOT has to follow when selecting pavement for projects, and there are 2 amendments to this section. The A84 deletes the provisions relating to excess fuel consumption. In the underlying bill, that was a part of the analysis, and all of that calculation and all of its references are removed. And then there's the A74-1, which does a couple of cleanup things. It adds, changes the size of the project to a larger number of square feet, and then adds another thing to look at about evaluating greenhouse gas emissions through the entire analysis period. And then there,
Madam Chair,
oh,
the
sorry,
next
thank you.
document, sorry, Ms. Stengel, the next line is a house-only provisions, line 13, and this would establish a new type of special permit or modify an existing forest product special permit to add an additional type for transported vehicles when the vehicle is both overweight and over width. And there's some technical changes going along with that in that section.
And then the final line, 14, Madam Chair, has to do with allowing raw or processed grass seed to be hauled under a special farm permits product. And that was a Senate-only provision.
Mr. Burris, it's my understanding on line 4, there is a typographical error that I think we're going to clear up in the motion, but just for purposes of those who are listening in, on line 4, is it correct that that should be R16 instead of R15?
Madam Chair, Senator Newman, that is correct. Or my apologies if you actually are the chair and have the gavel. I think I might have lost track of that. So I'm sorry about that. But yes, there was the original comparison document had misidentified the R page, and that has carried through until it was caught recently. So it is on R16.
Thank you, Mr. Burris. And for members and for the public, I just wanted to point that out. We are going to clear that up on the motion, but line 4 in the spreadsheet is R16. That's where you would be looking for that. First of all, Representative Hornstein, do you have any questions or comments on the description that staff have laid out for us?
Thank you, Madam Chair and Mr. Chair. I support this motion, and I appreciate the work that's been done in our transportation members to get this language and agree to it.
Thank you, Representative Hornstein. With that, members, are there any questions from anyone? I'm just pausing for a minute. I am not seeing any questions from members that are present, and I'm just pausing to see if any hands come up virtually, and I am not seeing any. At this point, I'm going to ask Ms. Stengel to state the motion, and then and then I will move that motion. Ms. Stengel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The motion is to include the provisions and amendments referenced in the sheet titled Provisions for Discussion of 52122 in the Conference Committee report, except for on line 4, the revisor page should refer to page R16.
Members, that is my motion. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed, no. The motion passes and the items are adopted. At this point, I will pass the gavel back to Chair Kiffmeyer.
Thank you very much, Senator Newman, and all of the transportation work. I am first going to go to Ms. James at this time. We're going to switch to state government, and I will call on Ms. James.
Madam Chair, I think that what you're asking is to talk about the advice that I gave yesterday that was incorrect on the vote on Senator Dibble's motion. The advice I gave was that a majority vote on the Senate side of 2-1 was enough to help them, for the motion to prevail, along with the majority on the House side. But actually, 3 votes out of 5 is the custom and practice for a motion to prevail in a conference committee on each side. So the vote indicated that the motion did not, in fact, pass yesterday, and the provision was not adopted. And my apologies to Representative Nelson and to you for getting that wrong.
Thank you very much, Ms. James. We appreciate all your good work, and every single one of us has times when we make a mistake in this regard, and absolutely understand. With that, we have 2 proposals that are come before us. Senator Dibble, would you like to go ahead with your proposals?
Sure, Madam Chair. Thank you for the courtesy, and we'll just try again, but in a slightly different format. So I think I probably need to make 3 different motions because I have 2 amendments, and then I also was going to move the language. So I don't think I can. Do I need to the language?
Yeah, if you want to move the language, just identify the section.
Right. So the first motion I'll make, Madam Chair, is to move the language on R4-A2 section, which would be section 3, lines 15.9 through 15.22. So that just simply establishes Juneteenth on a specific date. It does not designate it as a holiday. It just defines what Juneteenth is in state law, rather than as the 3rd Saturday in June. It says it's June 19th. It does have some requirements for the governor to issue a proclamation, I believe. But it doesn't elevate Juneteenth to the status of a holiday. And I'd request a roll call if I could, Madam Chair.
Roll call being requested, roll call granted. Ms. James, would you repeat the motion?
Madam Chair and members, the motion is to include the following section in the conference committee report. It would be on page R4 on the House side, Article 2, Section 3.
Okay, members, any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote. Ms. Wilson?
Senator Kiffmeyer.
No.
Representative Nelson.
Aye. Aye.
Senator Newman.
No.
Representative Hornstein.
Aye.
Senator Howe.
Nay.
Representative Murphy.
Murphy, aye.
Senator Jasinski.
No.
Representative Cagle.
Aye.
Senator Dibble.
Yes.
Representative Nash.
Nash votes no.
There being 5 ayes and 5 nays, the motion does not prevail. Senator Dibble.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So now I would like to move. It's not really an amendment.
It's just some language that you're proposing to be adopted.
Okay, so I guess we don't call it an amendment, just some language I'm proposing to be adopted into the conference committee report. It's the document SJJ0029.
Okay, let's give everybody a chance, Senator Dibble, to get that.
Yeah.
SJJ 0029, all right? I think he said 29. I'll clarify it here as soon as. They're nodding yes that it is.
And Madam Chair, I can describe it while it's being
It is
passed out.
SJJ 0029. Being passed out now.
Should I explain it while it's coming around, Madam Chair?
You can go ahead and present your,
So, Madam Chair, this is language that's slightly different than is contained in the House language, which was, if you look to page 61, Article 2, Section 69, it's similar but somewhat different. It is confined only to the subject of establishing Juneteenth on June 19th as a holiday in Minnesota. Of course, doesn't require anyone have the day off or anything like that. It just simply recognizes Juneteenth as a holiday in Minnesota.
okay, to the SJ 0029, any discussion?
May I request a roll call?
Roll call requested, roll call granted. There being no further discussion, Ms. Wilson, take the roll.
Senator Kiffmeyer.
No.
Representative Nelson.
Aye.
Senator Newman.
No.
Representative Hornstein.
Aye.
Senator Howe.
Nay.
Representative Murphy.
Murphy, aye.
Senator Jasinski.
No.
Representative Cagle. Aye. Senator Dibble.
Yes.
Representative Nash.
Nash votes no.
On the motion for SJJ 0029, there being 5 ayes and 5 noes, the motion does not prevail. Senator Dibble.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I just have one final proposal for the conference committee to consider. Similar to the last one, it'd be a variation, again, on the language that you would see in Article 2, Section 69 of the House language on page R61 of the side-by-side document. And so I would propose the language in the document SJJ 0030, which I think was just passed out. And if you take a look, it simply allows for the designation of the second Monday in October to be Indigenous Peoples' Day. Unlike the language in the House version of the bill brought to conference committee, it does not strike Christopher Columbus Day. It simply adds to how that day can be referred to as one of Minnesota's holidays, Indigenous Peoples' Day. And I would request a roll call. Thank you.
Roll call being requested, roll call granted. Seeing no further discussion, Ms. Wilson, take the roll.
Senator Kiffmeyer.
No.
Representative Nelson.
Aye.
Senator Newman.
No.
Representative Hornstein.
Aye.
Senator Howe.
Nay.
Representative Murphy.
Murphy, aye.
Senator Jasinski.
Jasinski votes no.
Representative Cagle. Aye. Senator Dibble.
Yes.
Representative Nash.
Nash votes no.
There being 5 ayes and 5 noes, the amendment does not prevail. Okay, members, we do have Another proposal, Senator Howe.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'd like to move that Section 18 on the Senate side and page R30-A2 on the side-by-side be included in the conference committee report.
Ms. James, would you go ahead and give us more detail on that motion?
Madam Chair and members, this is the section related to state law enforcement salaries, precluding pattern bargaining. And Senator Howe perfectly stated the motion, which is to include in the conference committee report Section 18 of the Senate side on page R30 of the side-by-side.
Okay. Senator Howe, to your amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and we need to help our state law enforcement employees. They continue to lag behind their law enforcement counterparts, even with the assistance that the legislature provided them in previous sessions. They're not given the same opportunities as other state employees, as other state employees can strike if they fall behind their counterparts. State law enforcement cannot strike. And in negotiations, they're saddled with pattern bargaining settlement. The legislator provided ongoing salary studies that last until, and they're conducted by the OLA, and they go until 2032. This proposal would say that MMB must use those salary studies in wage negotiation without using pattern bargaining settlement as long as there's a current salary study available. So in reality, this provision would sunset in 2032 unless the legislature would extend the date for the salary studies. Madam Chair, I think there's testifiers online, if we could go to them.
Yes, we can, Senator Howe. We have two testifiers here today. Caleb Siljord, Vice President of the Minnesota Conservation Officers and Vice Chair of MLEA, Minnesota Law Enforcement Association. Welcome, Mr. Siljord. If you want to go ahead and state your name and title for the audio record, and then go ahead and present your testimony.
My name is Caleb Siljord. I'm the Vice President of the Minnesota Conservation Officers Association and Vice Chair of the MLEA. Madam Chair and members of the committee, thank you for allowing me the time to testify on this important issue. As you know, significant work was conducted by both the legislature and the MLEA in the past 18 months to make wages for state law enforcement officers more competitive. The amount of effort that was required to complete that task begs the questions. How do we get here in the first place, and how do we keep it from happening again? While there isn't a singular issue to blame, MMB's historic use of pattern bargaining with the MLEA group is undoubtedly central to the issue. In using this tactic, MMB has and will continue to place state-employed peace officers behind the curve when it comes to offering competitive wages for new and current officers. As you can imagine, in today's current climate, this places the state of Minnesota at a significant disadvantage in recruiting and retaining the most qualified and diverse candidates. As you have heard throughout this session, the hiring pool for law enforcement has become dangerously shallow, and agencies across the state are scrambling to recruit the few that are coming into the profession. In addition to that, agencies are also recruiting qualified officers from other agencies. That includes our own state agencies. This level of recruiting has created an unprecedented market. We are currently seeing incentives like sizable hiring and retention bonuses, large sum moving expense stipends, sizable starting wage increases, shortened steps to top wage, and significantly higher overall salaries. As you know, the MLEA recently ratified the 2021 to 2023 contract with MMB, but it still falls short of the average of our comparison group. Even with the passage of that contract, the line level of the MLEA, which includes state troopers and conservation officers, are approximately 5% behind the average salary of our comparable agencies at top wage. MMB staff have opposed this initiative from the onset and have stated they believe it weakens the state's ability to negotiate wages with all state employees. The MLEA strongly disagrees with this position. It is the opinion of the MLEA that the language provides MMB staff the tools to address wages for the MLEA group with fair and unbiased data provided by the OLA. The ability to approach future collective bargaining this way will not only save time, it will also reduce frustration and angst for both MMB and MLEA staff tasked with negotiations. It also provides the ability to dispense with lengthy negotiation processes that have dragged the MLEA out of contract for years at a time. Thank you, Madam Chair and members, for the opportunity to testify, and with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your testimony today. We appreciate your service as well.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mike Ledoux, President of the Troopers Association, Chair of Minnesota Law Enforcement Association. Welcome, Mr. Ledoux, but restate your name for the audio record and titles, and then go ahead and present your testimony.
Madam Chair, my name is Mike Ledoux. I've had the honor and privilege of being a state trooper for almost 28 years. I have to apologize for my attire today. It's airport attire an hour ago. As I stated, I'm the president today in that role. I am also the current chair of the Minnesota Law Enforcement Association, representing all non-supervisory state law enforcement officers during collective bargaining. I want to thank Senator Howe for his support of this pattern settlement legislation and his advocacy and tireless efforts to improve the wage disparity issue for all state law enforcement officers. The purpose of this legislation is to provide a sound and comprehensive system for determining appropriate compensation for state troopers and other state law enforcement officers. In February of 2021, the Legislative Auditor's Office released a clear, concise, and objective report detailing the large wage disparity for state troopers when compared to the 34-city comparison group established in State Statute 299 D03. This comparison group was established by the legislature in 2020. The OLA report indicated the top base wage that could be earned by state troopers in 2019 was substantially less than the top base wage available to police officers in most of the cities reviewed. It's important to recognize that this large disparity was based on the 2019 wage data. The legislature intervened during the special session and helped mitigate that disparity at starting wage, but a large disparity still exists at top wage. As a result of the market adjustment, the State Patrol moved from 33rd place on the list to a 28th place based on that 2021 wage data. The MLEA contract was recently settled for 2021 through 2023. Unfortunately, we will now remain 5% behind the median wage of the OLA comparison group, and we have returned to 32nd place out of 34 agencies studied by the OLA. State law enforcement officers are not average, so I don't think it's unreasonable that we take reasonable steps to assure that they at least be compensated at an average rate of pay. This disparity hurts career earnings, retirement benefits, and creates retention and recruitment issues. The wage disparity was created as a result of the practice of pattern settlement in 5 years without contractual increases from 2003 through 2012. This exacerbated the disparity in the pattern settlement. Plague has done immeasurable harm to state law enforcement officers and their families for the majority of my career. As a result of the well-documented hiring crisis, law enforcement officers have become free agents, turning lower-paying agencies into training departments instead of destination departments. The current State Patrol Academy was funded for 75 troopers, but currently only has 12, and they will graduate next week. The salary survey language of 299 D03 provides much-needed legislative oversight for 10 years to assure that this wage disparity is eliminated so we can continue to recruit, retain, and retire these dedicated public safety professionals. We have attempted to address this wage disparity issue for the last decade and have been unsuccessful. For lack of a better term, we have collected begging, take what the state offers, or go to arbitration since we are essential employees and lack the ability to strike. State law enforcement officers put service before self each day for the security, benefit, and protection of the people as described in the state constitution. Please recognize their service by supporting them in the pattern settlement legislation. Madam Chair, I would be happy to answer any follow-up questions and appreciate the opportunity to testify today.
Thank you, Mr. Ledoux. Appreciate. Senator Howe, do you have other testifiers? If not, I'll go to you for any further explanation, or you can wait for a closing comment.
Well, members, keep in mind, in your packets, there's the LELS showing of the wages that are currently, that was explained that they're at number 32 out of the 34. Our state troopers used to be the best paid law enforcement officers in the state. Everyone wanted to be a trooper. That's not the case today. As you can see, they can go elsewhere and get a better retirement than what they can being a state trooper. Madam Chair, I ask for a roll call.
Roll call being requested, roll call granted. Further discussion on Senator Howe's amendment?
Madam Chair?
Yes, is that Representative Nash?
No, it's Representative Hornstein, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Representative Hornstein.
Is there anyone from MMB or the Department of Public Safety that I would be interested in hearing their perspective?
Representative Hornstein, it appears there is, and she is making her way right now to the testimony table. And I'll call on her then, Representative Hornstein. State your name, title for the record, and then you can proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Britta Rayton, Deputy Commissioner with MMB. I believe Deputy Commissioner Kristen Batson is also online to take questions as well. But I want to be clear that our concerns with the language are not related to troopers or the law enforcement bargaining unit. Like other state employees, they have been called upon for extraordinary service, and we appreciate the need to recognize that. We do, however, have concerns about how that recognition is put into law. And one of the primary concerns is that defining bad faith in this way will alter the basis for bargaining not only for this group of employees, but also for the 31,000 other employees with whom we negotiate. We believe there will be ripple effects throughout the compensation system, opening the door to a broad definition of bad faith to include processes and discussions that are widely used and necessary to maintain equitable compensation. It's important to note that we did reach a voluntary settlement with Mlea, and the contract was sent to the legislature for approval. As part of that settlement, Mlea did receive the 2.5 and 2.5 across the board increases, but we also did negotiate other compensation adjustments as part of that contract that will be implemented as that contract is put into place. Happy to take other questions.
I do have a question. A question I have for you, considering the chart we have in front of us today, on the basis of the new language which passed the Senate, so with the basis of that, where would that put the State Patrol on the chart we have in front of us from the Law Enforcement Labor Services?
I apologize, Madam Chair, I don't have the chart in front of me, but I'm wondering if Kristen Batson might be on Zoom and able to speak to that information.
All right, Mr. Bastian is who you?
Kristen Batson, is she?
Sure, Batson, okay. She's on, so if she'd like to speak to this, then Ms. Batson.
Madam Chair,
Okay, my staff has said she is not on. We've gotten the chart to Ms. Rayton.
And Madam Chair, I don't have that information in front of me, but I can work with,
Yes.
oh, maybe she is.
Yes, I'm in conference committee.
Oh, no.
I think that is
Apologize.
Representative Murphy.
Madam Chair.
Representative Murphy, let me mention you should mute yourself so that your private conversations don't come through the microphone. If staff can help her to know that.
Madam Chair,
Who's that?
Senator Howe.
Senator Howe. I was going to come to you next, Senator Howe.
But the LELS chart is correct as of this latest contract negotiation.
Thank you, Senator Howe. So even with what was done and testified to today, that has been incorporated into this, Ms. Rayton, they are still way at the bottom. Could you comment to that? I mean, I
Senator-
appreciate the work that was done, but it still leaves our state patrol greatly underpaid compared to the work they do and to other local law enforcement, and the issue will continue. Could you respond to that?
Senator Howe, Chair Kiffmeyer, I don't feel well equipped to. Our Deputy Commissioner Kristen Batson is trying to join and struggling with the link, and I'm wondering if we can try to help her, since I think she would be better prepared.
Thank you, and I understand from many voices that she is on. So, Ms. Batson, if you want to go ahead and pop on and let us hear from you regarding this subject.
And Madam Chair, we may need to repeat the question if she's just joining.
We'll give her time. Camera but no sound. Would you introduce yourself, and let's see if your sound is coming through, Ms. Batson. We can see you, Ms. Batson. We just need to hear you. We need to have you speak, at least say your name so we know we hear you. Doesn't seem to be hearing us. Let's go to Senator Howe, and Ms. Batson, I'll come back to you and let you figure out the technical, and then we'll come back to you. Senator Howe.
Madam Chair, the problem with, and I think that they're looking that, and I don't want to put words into the MMB's mouth, but I think they're worried about thinking that pattern settlement, if they use pattern settlement and not the salary study, it will be a problem with in negotiations with others. But the problem that I have, and what we've seen in the past, is no matter what we pass, it seems unless we put teeth in it, many of the agencies don't abide by anything. So we have to put some teeth in it. And if they want to propose some other method to hold their feet to the fire, I mean, we can put all kinds of studies out there, as we have a study out there right now that shows they're way behind, but they're not using it, and they have shown no good faith to use those studies in these negotiations to get them up to par. So unless we have some teeth in the bill to force them to do it, I don't know I don't think they're going to use the salary study as they've shown in the past. They had the opportunity to use it in these current negotiations that they just accepted, and they didn't use it. So why should we assume that they're going to use the OLA report in the future? Can MAB answer that? What assurances do you have to give us if we don't have that language or some other language to hold your feet to the fire, that you've shown any good faith in using the OLA's salary studies to bring these employees up to par with their counterparts?
Ms. Breton?
So, Senator Howe, I will do my best. I'm hoping we can figure out the audio issues with Deputy Commissioner Batson. I am trying to help her via text here, but her answer, which I'll do my best to provide, is that in that process, we do use both. So as we saw with this contract settlement with the MLEA, there was the across-the-board adjustment, but there was also additional grid adjustments taking into account salary studies.
Thank you, Ms. Rayton. I have Representative Nash. Representative Nash, we hear you. I just want you to know your video is off.
Yes, Madam Chair, I am driving on the highway coming back from the commissioning of the USS Minneapolis-St. Paul, so I will not be flipping on video. But it struck me as Senator Howe was talking about this, I actually happened to be driving by a state trooper who was assisting a motorist, and it struck me that they are not in parity with their counterparts. And I just think that is a very dangerous precedent, and it's something that we as a legislature can correct. I think that Senator Howe's point just now that if we're not going to be following the OLA direction, we're not going to be actually taking a demonstrative step, then I do believe that the legislature should and must intervene, and I think this is a good step in doing just that, because as I said, I'm driving by this trooper, and it just struck me that are very, very low in
Representative Nash, you're not coming through very well.
pay, and we have the ability. Great soliloquy was lost to bad cell connection. I appreciate it, Madam Chair. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Representative Nash. One of the things, Senator Howe, I'd like you to clear up is in regards to, you mentioned that they cannot strike because of the nature of their work. Are other bargaining units able to strike? Senator Howe.
I can't say that, Madam Chair, I can't say that all bargaining units, and maybe MMB can address that better than I can, but I know most bargaining units cannot strike. And so it puts them in an unfair advantage when it comes to this, because the only option they got is they either take it or they go to binding arbitration.
Thank you, Senator Howe. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, Ms. Wilson, if you will take the roll.
Senator Kiffmeyer.
Aye.
Representative Nelson.
No.
Senator Newman.
Aye.
Representative Hornstein.
No.
Senator Howe.
Aye.
Representative Murphy.
Murphy, aye.
Senator Jasinski.
Jasinski, aye.
Representative Cagle.
No.
Senator Dibble.
No.
Representative Nash.
Nash votes aye.
Okay, there are 4 yes votes on the Senate, 2 yes votes on the House, and under the rules, this amendment does not, Senator Howe does not prevail. Okay, members, with that, we do have some other things that we are working on, but due to the nature of today and a lot of work happening that may impact, we're going to recess to the call of the chair, and I'll give you as much notice as I can to enable you to have time to finish whatever you are doing. I would expect it would at least be a few hours before anything happens, so for those of you who may want to take time to have a meal or go back to your offices, I would anticipate that being the case. But if anything changes on that, we'll give you at least 30 minutes notice. And with that, members, we are in recess.